All right, Heath, thank you so much. We are going to now head in another area of the state because a hurricane watch, from what we understand, has been in effect for the New Orleans area. Of course, the Louisiana coastline, everyone along there bracing for it.
Yeah, they're bracing for it, and so are they here in Acadiana. We want to check in with the mayor of St. Martinville, Jason Willis, joining us. Mayor, thanks for making some time. We understand you got a few important updates you want to give us.
Yes, thank you guys for having me. I just wanted to give an update. We want the citizens of St. Martinville to know that we have the Public Works Department on standby. They will be on standby throughout the night. As you guys predicted, the storm might hit throughout the night, so we have the guys staying over. We have the electricians, the water guys. They're there in time of need. So any power outages, any debris blocking the road, or anything that may cause a risk of danger, we ask the citizens to please call 337-394-2237, and we'll have someone on it as soon as possible. I also want to let the citizens know that we still have sandbags and sand available at our festival grounds that is located on 200 East Madison Street. It's a self-serve, help yourself. If there's some elderly people that need assistance, you call that number, and I'm sure the guys don't mind going to help them out.
Mayor, could you tell us what's one area, major concern for you? What are you concerned about most for your residents there?
Well, of course, a lot of residents have trees, big trees in their yard. So it sounds like, and we hope and pray that we miss the heart of the storm, where the winds is not too bad. But we're concerned about trees that's falling, old trees that's rotting in people's yard, that we can't go in there to help them to get it cut. Unfortunately, that's we can't do that. But we're just afraid that trees fall on people's homes. So we just ask people that has big trees in their home, maybe go stay with a friend or relative or something like that to get out of harm's way. But pretty much that's the scare of the storm. We're not too concerned about flooding. We don't think we have too much flooding problems, but if they do, we have guys there, to assist us any kind of way possible we can.
And Mayor, felt that was going to be your response because you have a very historic city. You have even historic trees, if you will, buildings. And so trees are definitely something that flourishes and covers your neck of the woods, your corner of the woods. So I can understand the concern for that. But at this point, you, your team, your leaders, the city leaders, your law enforcement, like many communities, have been meeting to make sure that your plan to protect everyone and keep them safe has been in the works. And I know that you guys have been hard at work. How confident are you in your preparations?
I'm very confident. We have a great team. We have a great parish. Actually, our parish president is very great. We met with all the parish presidents, the sheriff department, all the mayors in the parish. We have morning meetings every morning, probably 3 days prior to this storm that's going to land, and in preparation of this storm. So I'm pretty, like you said, you can't prepare for the unexpected, but a tornado is something that comes and it goes so quickly that you're not able to prepare as much. Mm-hmm. But a hurricane, it kind of gives you a warning so you could get in preparation for stuff like that. But a lot of people like to stay home, which I understand. Like I said, our biggest concerns is the old trees, just like you said, that's falling on people's homes. Right now, any gust of wind is able to knock down the trees. It's so easily to knock down on someone's house. So, but besides that, we have a great team. We have other mayors, other cities. We also have other electricians from other states that came down to assist us in a time of need, and we have to get the power back on as soon as possible. So we pretty much prepared. We just got to stay prayed up, and we just hope that it doesn't hit our area too hard.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. We know you guys have basically covered all the bases in preparations for Hurricane Francine. You guys were out even before the storm, clearing ditches, clearing up some of that debris to prevent some of the localized flooding. We definitely want to avoid that. Talk to us about some of the plans in place. Should there be any of that flooding, or say a tree does fall on someone's home, is there a shelter that anyone can go to? And if you could, give us that number one more time that people can call in emergency situations.
Well, the phone number is 337-394-2237. That's for our public works department. We have all these guys on standby. It will be an answering service that will pick up and it'll dispatch all the guys that need to go out. Unfortunately, we do not have a shelter in the Mortonville area or in the parish, I think, to assist and people could go to. That's something that's way above my pay grade and my head right now. So that's something that we could look into. But, of course, for the preparation, we've been having the guys out on the street. We've been cleaning drains, getting all the debris off of the drains. I also running our little rooter through the drains. Also cleaning ditches and picking up any debris that's on the street in preparation of a flooding that brings everything into the pipes that kind of clogs it up.
Got it.
But, of course, you can't be in all the areas, or you got some areas that may be missed. So if anyone is flooding, if you see the water is not draining and, it's draining in the yards next door to you, you call that number and we'll come out with our machine and run it through the pipes and try to clear it up as soon as possible so we can relieve that water before it gets into you guys' home.
All right, thank you, Mayor. And before we let you go, I just want to say don't stress too much about the shelter situation. We know that St. Martinville is a very close-knit community. So like you mentioned, if you have a tree that may be at risk of getting blown over, find a family or a friend that you can go to and, ride out the storm.
Yes, sir. That's exactly the case. We're a close community. I'm pretty sure we got everybody is just about related in St. Martinville. You have family, friends. Everybody, I think, open up their homes to anybody that needs help and assistance. So all you have to do is call someone. Social media is always active and live, so in time of need. So, but if anybody needs our assistance, my assistance, like I said, you call that number, and we'll try to assist them as soon as possible.
Mayor Jason Willis, thank you so much for joining us. You guys stay safe. And, of course, we'll be checking in with you guys during, like we are now, and then after the storm to make sure everyone's okay. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Sounds good. Thank you guys for having us. Thank you.
All right. So as you are looking at the screen that images you just saw, things are kind of looking the same kind of everywhere, but we do know that things are changing as Francine is making herself known with wind speeds picking up in some areas.
Yeah, we saw the video from Sky 10 on Lake Pontchartrain where, like Trevor spoke of, some of those waves going onto the boardwalk, indicating stronger winds out there.
That's right. In fact, Trevor joins us now. He's going to give us the latest on what he is seeing from the Weather Center. Trevor?
Yeah, guys, we have Storm Team 10 radar pulled up now. Again, some evidence of drier air. Notice you don't see the widespread rain that you were seeing earlier. You're starting to see some breaks in the rain here and there. One little band is moving through the heart of Acadiana now. Lafayette, you're getting this, extending down into Vermilion Parish. But the strongest storms, the storms that contain the strongest winds, are now located across Terrebonne Parish, now moving into St. Mary Parish. Heath, can we maybe zoom in on that area just so we could show where the strongest storms are currently happening right now? So it's across St. Mary Parish, so Morgan City, right along Highway 90. You're about to get the northern eye wall. This is pretty much the northern eye wall of the storm now. This is where if we were to see the 80 to 90 mile per hour winds, 110 mile per hour wind gusts, it would be in this area. We're taking a look at velocities. This is probably looking at about 10,000 feet up into the atmosphere, so we call that flight level. And we'll go ahead and maybe sample some of these winds here. Earlier when it was across the Gulf of Mexico, we were getting winds 90 to 95 miles per hour. We're actually switching radar now because we're looking at Hammond. Hammond is a little bit closer, so that radar beam is not as high in the atmosphere, because remember, when that beam exits out from the radar, it goes up in altitude. So the closer the radar is, the lower we're looking at in the atmosphere. And we're looking at velocities of 90 miles per hour in the northern eye wall. Again, this is elevated. This is higher up in the atmosphere, but some of these winds, 80, 85, are most likely working their way down to the surface. So this is coastal Terrebonne Parish, also St. Mary, Morgan City. You're about to get this as well, as this eye wall is in the process of moving into that region. It looks like landfall is probably in short order here, probably within the next hour or so. When at least half that eye wall crosses the coast, it will be official landfall. Now, we're monitoring all the cameras. Again, we have been everywhere across the state today. We have reporters out, and we have our cameras out as well. Baton Rouge, you're starting to see some rainfall. Conditions will be going downhill in Baton Rouge later on tonight for sure. As it makes landfall, Francine is going to continue to work off to the north and east and impact them down the road. New Iberia, you're mainly just receiving mostly cloudy sky for now, but I think you're in that little pocket of drier air that I was just showing on radar. Bay St. Louis, those waves are cranking down there, and of course Lake Pontchartrain, conditions will be going downhill for them. Unfortunately, it looks like New Orleans may end up getting more of this than what it looks like maybe 24 hours ago. So southeastern Louisiana will definitely deal with the brunt of this storm. Acadiana looks like it will get a glancing blow now. Vermilion Parish may not even see 60 to 70 mile per hour winds now. It looks like it will be possibly Iberia, St. Mary, Terrebonne, lower St. Martin, not St. Martin itself, lower St. Martin, and further off to the east. That dry air has actually thinned out the cirrus clouds here, and that's actually why we're seeing a little bit of an eye showing up. It's not because of intensification. I think it's because that dry air is coming in, and that cirrus deck is getting thinner, so now you can start to see the insides of the hurricane, so to speak, and that eye is moving to the north. Again, it will make landfall somewhere across St. Mary or Terrebonne Parish, most likely in the next hour or so here. It's pretty short order until it makes official landfall. But that northern eye wall, the eye is so large now, it's really expanded. So the northern eye wall, the storms embedded within it, are actually moving onshore now, and we'll be working into St. Mary through the next few minutes. But we were talking about this about 30 minutes ago. I do see some evidence that dry air is starting to wrap into the circulation. It's starting to weaken a bit, probably still a formidable hurricane, 80 to 90 mile per hour winds. But we were thinking Category 2. That didn't happen. That dry air came in, that shear started, and at the very least, it stopped the storm from intensifying even further. So that definitely helped parts of the state. And that wind shear has been sitting here across the northern Gulf through the past few days, and now it's finally affecting the system. When it was down here, it had low wind shear, and it actually had ventilation from all of this air escaping from the region. We talk about this all the time in terms of rapid intensification. Yes, sea surface temperatures have something to do with it, but I'm a believer that the upper level environment has most to do with it. And when you have winds that are exiting the area, air has to rise up to fill that void. And when that happens, you get a void at the surface, and air has to rush in. That's when you get winds that are stronger, and that's when surface pressures start to lower. So when you have a jet stream to the north like this and a hurricane embedded in here, you get rapid intensification. But once it gets closer to the wind shear starts to affect it, and then the reverse happens. Wind shear becomes a liability. So wind gusts, we're looking at 49 in Patterson. I would bet it's likely higher. This is probably an older reading. I haven't seen a more recent one, but I would bet that Patterson and Morgan City and those areas are getting much stronger winds than that at this point. Lafayette, St. Martin, you can see some of this purple, though, starting to work into Iberia. So these winds are definitely picking up. We are basically, we're entering the middle of it here, the climax of it. It's going to be coming in through the next few hours, and where the strongest winds will be moving inland and continuing to work inland across southeastern portions of Acadiana and across southeastern portions of the state through the next few hours. A Category 1 hurricane at landfall. It would have to move due north here. Not really sure that's happening, so it may actually move a little further on the eastern side of this cone. Any further east helps Acadiana, but still anywhere from St. Mary to Terrebonne Parish looks like will be the eventual landfall point. Remember, about 36 to 48 hours ago, landfall was across Vermilion, so we'll certainly take the eastward shift that we got here. Hurricane warning still in effect. Vermilion, you're still under it. Not sure if you're going to get hurricane force wind gusts. I'm really skeptical about that now. I'm thinking that would be more to the east, basically east of Lafayette and southeast towards St. Mary, maybe Iberia, and definitely Terrebonne. And tropical models are showing this continuing to work off to the south and east. Here's a Euro model. It's showing anywhere from 40 to 50 for southeastern Vermilion now. I think that's a pretty good bet. And then across Iberia, 50 to 60, and then you start to get 60 to 70, maybe 80 across St. Mary and Terrebonne. So that's how we'll play it now in terms of where the strongest winds will be. Usually 60 miles per hour or above. that's when you start seeing power outages, or at least more widespread power outages. 30 to 40, we can handle that. 45, 50, you may get a sporadic power outage or so, but you're not going to see the widespread power outages with that. So the strongest winds are definitely going to miss most of Acadiana. That's certainly good news. We were looking at a much worse situation a few days ago for sure. Tropical storm force wind probabilities. This is your probability of seeing a wind gust in excess or exceeding 40 miles per hour. And anywhere you see purple, you have a near 100% chance of that. So southeastern Vermilion, St. Mary, Iberia, and also moving further off to the east. Now, hurricane wind probabilities are much lower across most of Acadiana. You have to get all the way to eastern Iberia, lower St. Martin, and St. Mary until your chances really go up of seeing hurricane force winds. And of course, when you start to get at that level, you start to see more damage and more widespread power outages. But the storm surge is a problem as well on the eastern side of the system, as it always is. Water will be piling up across St. Mary and Terrebonne Parish associated with that system, and that large fetch of southeasterly winds blowing all that water on shore. HRRR model shows the heaviest storms across southeastern Louisiana this evening, so conditions will be improving for Acadiana later on tonight. And for tomorrow, just a little bit of a northwesterly breeze tomorrow, and that's about it. Rainfall totals have really dropped on this model for Acadiana as well. I'm thinking the model is finally pinpointing that drier air that's across the area. So I'm thinking we're not going to see a widespread flash flooding event here. Maybe some heavier rainfall totals across southeastern portions of the state, but I think that dry air is going to save us. If you can remember, a few days ago, Sunday night, I was showing models like the GFS. It had anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of rain across Acadiana. So fortunately, that didn't verify. And rainfall totals, we may get 2 to 4 inches, but we're not going to see the widespread flash flooding that we could have seen with some of the models with what they were showing a few days ago. Wave heights increasing across the nearshore areas here, anywhere from 20 to 30-foot waves just offshore. So, of course, we're tracking the tropics, and we are everywhere across the state and on social media for today. Download the KLFY weather app. You get any warnings sent right to your mobile device. Tracking the tropics on our website. Visit it. You can look at all of this data. And, of course, we have safety tips there before, during, and after the storm. We're going to continue to analyze things here in the Weather Center, guys. Back over to you at the desk.
All right. Thank you, Trevor. He has such a way of breaking it down for the layman like myself and just making it plain of what we can expect and how things are developing when it comes to the storm.
And that's what everyone wants to know, because it's been a long wait, anticipated to have arrived a little bit earlier, this sort of thing. So things have spread out during the day. And again, we talked about the possible false sense of security because things have been so slow. But again, that, all changes as Francine makes her arrival here.
Don't want to let our guards down. Definitely not going to do that. I think somebody mentioned earlier, Renee, don't want to bring the patio furniture back out.
Right.
Because
not just yet.
Those wind gusts can, exceed 30, 40 miles an hour, and something can topple you over, knock over a few lawn items, and maybe hurt somebody or damage some property.
Exactly. It's definitely something to remember and to consider. I believe now we are heading out to Houma.
Yeah, we're going to check in with News 10's Jasmine Dean. She's out in Houma for us. Jasmine, we can see you holding on to your hat. Things picking up out there?
Hey guys, definitely the winds have been picking up out here. I'm actually standing right by a shelter, the municipal auditorium, where people in Houma are, here getting ready to ride out the storm, and they were just told to go inside because the winds are picking up. I know a little earlier, skis had flew off while we were trying to set up, and I'm trying to keep mine on because although the rain is not as heavy as it was earlier, that wind is still picking up. And of course, the rain is expected to get heavier as well because the storm is making landfall. I mean, we've been getting warnings to just be careful and watch our surroundings. I know just a few seconds ago, law enforcement rolled by, of course, to make sure that the roadways are clear because there is a curfew in place, and that's in place to make sure people are safe because Hurricane Francine is making landfall. people are asked to stay inside, to be as safe as possible, and to just hunker down. And they're also reminded that in case of an emergency that they can call 911, but that's only in case of an emergency, as they're trying to keep the roadways as clear as possible. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but that wind is picking up. I'm starting to hear and feel a little bit of rain starting to pick up as well. I mean, if you just look behind me, you can see the trees right there starting to shake. And I know on this side of me, I don't know if y'all can see it, but there was a little bit of flooding starting to happen in that driveway. I know we're just trying to be mindful and just watch our surroundings, and along with everyone else, we're just anticipating Hurricane Francine to make its way and hopefully pass as quickly as possible so that we can all be safe as possible. We'll continue to have those updates for you guys as we're out here in Houma. I'm Jasmine Dean.
All right, Jasmine Dean, thank you so much. And yes, we do see the difference in the weather conditions. And speaking to you, maybe an hour, 40 minutes ago to an hour now, seeing a little heavier rainfall as well as the wind speeds.
Yeah, out in Houma and not far from Jasmine, where those winds and rain are picking up. We want to go to Morgan City, St. Mary Parish. News 10's Britt LaFaso still on the scene, now approaching 12 hours for us. Britt, first, thank you for your coverage. Tell us how have things developed out in Morgan City?
Well, actually, we're just getting right now one of those big wind gusts that we've been talking about. Man, I can see the wind. I see the rain. This is that sideways rain that we've been waiting for, that sideways rain that we have been expecting. And we're now starting to see some of that debris coming off the trees. Not branches yet, not trees now, but definitely a lot of debris. The small branches are coming. I mean, I don't know if you can see that American flag up there kind of whipping in the wind. That kind of gives you an idea of how fast this wind is going. But let me tell you, it's not consecutive. It's not like we are, I'm holding on here it goes again. There's that big wind gust. So I'll let that go through for a second, but you see, it's not knocking me over yet. I can hold the winds, but you do have to brace yourself just a little bit when the wind gusts come through. Now, these are some of the biggest that we here. There it goes again. You know what I mean? It kind of calms down for a second, and then boom, lasts a couple of seconds. You think you're okay, and then boom, the next one hits you. Let me see if I can show you some of the trees. There's a lot of palm trees out here in Morgan City, and those palm leaves have been falling off of those trees for the last couple of hours. And I think right now we're gonna see a lot more starting to fall. And then if we want to spin around this way, I want to show you guys downtown. If Lance wants to follow me with the camera, people's trash cans, of course. This is what we always expect. We always see trash cans whenever that wind starts to pick up. You can see a couple of people's cans down there. That one's been sliding down towards us. You can hear it. So not only is it starting to really feel like a hurricane, you're starting to hear it. We can hear the wind now. We can hear those wind gusts. I don't know if you can hear that. Listen. Hopefully at home, really hear that. It's kind of an eerie feeling, and that is kind of a sign it's definitely approaches. We can definitely feel now that we're on the cusp of landfall. This is the most intense it's been since we've been here. Not saying it's too intense right now, but we're getting those wind gusts, like I said. So I'm going to flip you guys around one more time so you can kind of see how this rain is blowing all the way this way. You can see that wind now. You can see that rain. So that is where things stand right now in Morgan City. Of course, we're about to have another crew come out here. Oh, there they are now. There's Kai. Kai and Calvin actually just rolled up. Hi, guys. So they're going to maybe take over for us in a little bit. But again, conditions definitely starting to worsen out here in Morgan City. There's another one. Oh! I probably should have held on to this. All right, well, this is soaking wet now. I guess it's time for me to wrap this up. Reporting live in Morgan City, I'm Britt LaFaso for KLFY News 10.
Yeah, Britt, thank you so much, giving us a real view of just how those winds are quickly intensifying. Another indicator that things are changing and intensifying. You heard a little popping noises in her audio, and she was definitely wanting us to hear the wind, which sounded to me like a train in the distance, just like in the way distance.
When she stuck her microphone out there, you could clearly hear it, those bands that are sweeping through. She spoke about the rain now coming from the side, which is that stinging rain. If you've ever been out there in this type of weather, you know exactly what Britt is dealing with. So again, thank her for her coverage. So if you're taking a look at your screen, you're right now seeing the town of Madisonville, where the rain is coming down there. Nothing severe, but we know that the northern eye wall is approaching landfall in the St. Mary, Terrebonne Parish area, so things should be increasing momentarily.
Another thing that I'm noticing is the thick foliage. This is nothing new here in Louisiana, the entire state for that matter. We know that we are a state of trees, and that is why so many precautions are put in place ahead of time, giving you a time frame of when it's best and safe for you to secure your property, your home, and just to make sure that you're out of the path of some of the trees, if at all possible. I've been covering hurricanes since 1992 and have lived through them, reported on them, and that's one of the main concerns outside of water. Of course, water is always a definite floodwaters, but the trees, and I've talked to neighbors. I've had neighbors cut down trees. I've talked to folks who will split the cost of a tree because it's right on their line, and they're able to remove that danger from their homes.
Ultimately, that's what we want to do. We want to keep ourselves and those around us safe. A quick note, according to the National Hurricane Center, the storm expected to make landfall later this evening within the hour or so, according to the experts in the building, and bring potential for life-threatening storm surge and significant wind damage. That's what we were talking about. We take those precautions like pruning trees, even cutting down dangerous or rotten trees in our neighborhoods.
Absolutely, and we are tree lovers. We love our state. We are outdoorsmen and women, if you will, and we love that. But these trees, of course, as we all know, always pose a potential danger.
Like Mayor Jason Willis of St. Martinville told us maybe 10, 15 minutes ago, you know, they've got, historic oak trees throughout that area, but ultimately it's about staying safe. We don't want anybody in harm's way.
Absolutely. And speaking of staying safe, of course, rules and regulations are put into place to keep you safe. A curfew will soon start for St. Mary Parish residents. They are subject to a 5 p.m. curfew in anticipation of the arrival of Hurricane Francine. The curfew ends at 7 a.m. Thursday. This curfew prohibits and/or controls pedestrian and vehicular traffic, except essential emergency vehicles and personnel. It does not apply to anyone going to and from their place of employment or any other critical or essential business activity. Now, they have already declared a voluntary evacuation for the southern portion of the parish. And of course, that was a little earlier, so because things are really changing rapidly right now, and folks are being advised to stay off the road. So probably getting a little too late to do an evacuation.
Yeah, one thing for sure, we saw Britt LaFaso's live shot. Wind speed's picking up. Her hat got blown off, so that probably means that some of the smaller branches or any outdoor lawn equipment that was left outdoors could pose a threat. So you definitely want to stay inside, hunker down, and everyone be safe.
And with those wind gusts that we saw with Britt, you saw how it comes in waves. And that's exactly what Delphin's talking about. Those wind gusts come through so quickly, it'll grab whatever is in its path, and it becomes an object of threat.
That's right. So let's check in once more with News 10's Gerald Grunig. He was in Delcombe speaking with some people in authority there.
Yes, with the police captain, Mr. Henry Shaw.
Gerald Grunig coming to you from the border of Iberia and Vermilion Parish, hanging out in the city of Delcombe. Perry Shaw, Delcombe Police Department, starting to feel the effects of Hurricane Francine more and more. What do you want people to know as Francine starts to make her presence more felt?
Well, stay at home, try not to move, obey the curfew, most definitely. And, if you have an emergency, give us a call, but most likely stay at home. The rains are starting to increase and the winds are starting to pick up. So yes, what was predicted to happen here, is starting to arrive now. So, stay home, be safe.
Good news is, right, for you,
Yeah.
Perry, so many people in this community knowing how to handle these situations. For those that may be unsure, maybe they want to get in the car and take a ride down 14, not the move right now, especially as these wind gusts pick up.
No. You never know when a utility pole can fall, a tree can fall, any type of debris can fly across the roadway, strike your vehicle and be in an accident. So yes, don't do that. Be calm, stay at home. If you need us, we're here for you. But do not get out on the roadway. It's dangerous right now.
Perry, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Don't forget, everybody, we'll have much more coming up from Iberia and Vermilion Parish. For those of you that don't know, Delcombe actually shares both parishes. I'm Gerald Grunig. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Gerald. We know that Francine approaching landfall momentarily. It could be any minute now.
Absolutely, and we are hearing right now from our experts here. Of course, we have Chief Meteorologist Heath Morton and Meteorologist Trevor Saunier, and they're now saying that it's been upgraded, right, guys? Is that what you tell us? Category 2? Francine is now a Category 2. Maybe we can check in with Heath and Trevor just momentarily to get that update. But again, this is something they talked about. You know, our meteorologist saying we're looking at a Cat 1, Cat 2, and she came. She's approaching as a Cat 1, but just moments ago, upgraded to a Category 2.
And with some of those now 100-mile-an-hour winds, we're expecting some damage. So as a result of that, U-Haul is offering some help to residents in both Louisiana and Mississippi impacted by Hurricane Francine.
The company is offering 30 days of free self-storage access. The U-Haul companies of southern Louisiana, south central Louisiana, and Mississippi have made 39 facilities available to help. The U-Haul free offer applies to new self-storage rentals and is based on availability at each company-owned and operated location.
Certainly good news there because people obviously will need somewhere to store their things that aren't ruined by the storm.
Absolutely. And we have more on that coming up in just a moment. But right now, I believe we're going over to News 10's Lainey Miller.
Yes. Lainey is out in Iberia Parish for us. Lainey, we can see some of the electric company crews already at work. What are you seeing there? Good.
Yes. So right now we're on Ann Street in New Iberia. We know that a tree fell on a power line on Ann Street, knocking out power for about at least 1,000 people. We checked the maps on our way. Right now we're with Mr. Raymond Shudu Lewis. He's a school board member and he has the emergency preparedness pass. So he's been going through New Iberia all day. He's the one who actually called us and let us know that the power's out over here, that they're fixing it, that the tree is on the power line. And so he's going to tell us, what did you see in New Iberia today?
As I roamed the city, I came across open church doors. I called the authorities, city police, for them to go in and check it out. I ran across cables that were down in the street, so I tried to notify Public Works so they maybe could go and flag it. And then I get a call from my sister that she had lost power. So I was on the west end of town. So I immediately came, I said, let me circle and see, and found this tree down on high power lines. I live down here on high power lines, and I was able to call my sister and let her know what was going on. And I wanted to notify TV10, so those that didn't know what was going on, I'm your eyes, your ears, and I wanted you, the company, to know in the impacted area and throughout the city, because we don't need you coming into this area trying to see. We're currently under a curfew anyway. Stay in your house, be safe, and CLECO is working aggressively.
Like Mr.
To fix the problem.
Yes, like Mr. Shudu said, CLECO is out, and they also have probably some contract workers. It looks like Soul Power Lines is right here. We can pan out, Sarah, you can see them. They're fixing it now. And we can look behind us. We can't walk over there just to be safe, but currently are taking the tree off of the power line, moving it around. You see, I don't know if y'all can see it, but there's a car underneath this tree that fell. Luckily, they were spared. Their car is fine, but the power line is down, and we checked the maps on our way in. We checked Slimco, Clico, Intergy, and I think it's at least 1,000 people are out of power just because of this one power line down right here. And so thousands of people in New Iberia are affected. And so, Mr. Shudu, what's the message that you have for people in New Iberia without their power? You know, what do you want them to know?
Be patient. I've been through this many times before. Be patient. They are aggressively working on this, and to people impacted, your power should be up. And I don't want to be a spokesman for them, Clico, but in a couple of hours, because they're really going after this thing in a way that I have never seen them do before. But stay in your house, be patient, play games with your family, huddle with your family, love your family, pray with your family, and this is just a day in a situation where, again, stay in your house, be safe, don't be roaming around the parish or the city, because we do have a curfew in effect.
Yes, and when is that curfew lifted?
It's not lifted until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Okay, and so just for people to know, they're worried about their power coming back. I spoke to a power company yesterday, and they told me that they have their linemen working whenever wind is 30 miles an hour or less. So we know the wind is about 30 miles right now, but if it picks up, they have to get down, they have to stop working on it just to be careful. So like he said, stay patient. We'll give you guys more updates. And for now, in New Iberia, Lainey Miller, KLFY News 10.
All right, downed tree. I think that's the first report we have seen of a down tree in the area.
Yeah, and good news to see that the power companies already out there doing their best to clear the way and restore power to the almost 1,000 people in Iberia Parish.
And what allows them to do that, of course, is there's a limit to when they can go out and restore or offer any aid, especially when you're talking about wind speed. So we're not seeing that wind there just yet, so they're able to go out.
Below 35 miles an hour, I believe, is the threshold, so that allows them to go up there and do what they need to do to get us back to where we need to be. So as we continue to our coverage of tracking Hurricane Francine, we want to check in with News 10's Lydia Alcala. She's live in the studio with Catholic Charities of Acadiana about their efforts. Lydia.
Yes, thank you guys. Ben Broussard joining us once again. Ben, we had you here earlier this morning, and as they were just saying, talking about those relief efforts, what those electrical companies are doing, but also a big part of these relief efforts is volunteers and organizations like Catholic Charities of Acadiana. So from here, the storm, you know, it's almost here. It's almost made landfall. So what do we do from here on out?
Yeah, so that category 2 is creeping in. Everyone's plans should be put together internally, both with Catholic Charities of Acadiana and with our partner agencies with the VOAD here in Acadiana. We're hunkering and waiting. So really tomorrow will be the day that we get out and start our assessments. That will be in cooperation with city government and with the Office of Homeland Securities and the various parishes to see where the hardest hit areas are. From there, we're going to be starting to do our own damage assessments to then triage the cases. Sometimes you have some that need to be addressed immediately and some can wait. But this is where we need volunteers. The volunteers have been raising their hands. We still need folks to kind of step up and say, hey, if I'm not the one affected, I'd like to help. And then from there, we'll roll out and start doing that general relief effort.
So we have those assessments that are going to begin, like you said, tomorrow, sometime early in the day, hopefully, because it doesn't seem like the storm is going to linger in Louisiana for very long. Then that's where the volunteers come in, and you guys have been sending out emails. Anyone who wants to sign up to be a volunteer, because, you know, things happen. Maybe someone who did sign up to be a volunteer, maybe they are going to be affected, unfortunately, by the storm. So anyone watching that wants to be part of these efforts, how can they get in touch with you guys and reach out out in that way?
Yeah, so to partner and volunteer with us, it's CatholicCharitiesAcadiana.org. It's important to note that we serve alongside our other VOAD partners here in Acadiana. Just to name a few: United Way, Love Acadiana, Goodwill of Acadiana, Second Harvest Food Bank, so many other partners who really put their heads together and their shoulders together in order to make this thing work. We're so used to disaster here in Acadiana that we know that we can't do it alone. So we got to do it together. And so really it remains to be seen what that need's going to be, but stay in touch and we can, we're going to do it together as a community.
And before we let you go, going in depth one more time on what these volunteer efforts look like. Of course, we are preparing for the worst. We're going to prepare that way, even though it may not get there. But these volunteers, what might they expect to be doing, going out and serving those affected?
With what Francine's looking like right now, it looks like we're going to have storm surge, maybe some flooding rains. And so what we're preparing to do is do the mucks and guts for the flooded homes. Also debris removal, the chainsaw crews, maybe some roof tarping, but also the damage assessments, which is really sending volunteers out to take those pictures and engage those homeowners and those survivors. And to help us put the reports together so we can best address those who need it the most.
Yeah, Ben Broussard, Catholic Charities of Acadiana, thanks for being here with us.
Thanks.
Once again today in your bright orange jacket.
It's hard to miss.
It's very hard to miss. But again, you can be part of these volunteer efforts, or you can reach out to Catholic Charities if you are in need of some help after Hurricane Francine has passed through the area. Again, you can visit Catholic Charities of Acadiana's website for either to reach out for that help or to provide that help along with the volunteers. We're now going to head back to Chief Meteorologist Heath Morton. Heath, what's it looking like over there?
Yeah, Lydia, thanks so much. It's been upgraded to a Category 2 hurricane with winds at 100. Landfall is going to be pretty soon, but we're looking at some of the winds here. 96 there across Terrebonne Parish. The eastern eye wall is going to be, looks like moving into Terrebonne Parish. This is Terrebonne. This is St. Mary, 72 there over St. Mary. Now, this radar beam is about 10,000 feet up in the sky, so usually you have to subtract about 10 miles per hour from that, so 96 would be closer to about 86. But Trevor's going to sample some of those winds here down there, and we think the eye wall is somewhere in here, but it's a big eye wall. I was seeing the northern part of that eye wall, which is coming inland now. It looks like Dulac, Homa, right here. It's going to move probably right over these areas. 101 mile per hour winds down there, southern parts of Terrebonne Parish. Like I said, though, the radar beams up in the sky 10,000 feet, so that could be 90, 91, but still strong. And that's just, that's not the complete eye coming in quite yet. 75 there. South of Morgan City, and we have 70 there. This is just offshore. This right here is St. Mary Parish, and this is the Gulf of Mexico. So we're looking at those stronger winds that are about to come into Morgan City, also into, it looks like, St. Mary Parish. You see the flash flood warning there for, that is St. Mary Parish. But as you zoom in a little bit closer, notice those magenta, those pink colors. Those are the much stronger winds as we see that northern and western part of that eye wall about to come inland here. We think it's going to make landfall here pretty soon. It's going to be landfall with 100 miles per hour, which is a Category 2. The National Hurricane Center, they had winds up to 100. I think it was Monday for landfall. It was a Category 2, so they're going to be pretty close on that. And then it looks like the strongest winds may actually move over Terrebonne Parish as we kind of have the western eye wall moving into St. Mary, eastern eye wall, as we see there. Moving into Terrebonne, flash flood warning also for Terrebonne. You can see it as we widen the view here a little bit. It's a very large eye. Usually with a strong hurricane, you have a very small symmetrical eye. This is very large. I'm kind of surprised it strengthened there before landfall with those strong upper level winds, but that's the way it is sometimes. Things improving rain-wise for Acadiana over the next couple of hours. I think, though, once it moves inland and it weakens, those winds are going to spread out. So some of those winds could move into Acadiana, the stronger winds. But as of now, it looks like the strongest winds are going to move up into the Baton Rouge area, over into New Orleans. And it's going to cross between Baton Rouge and it looks like Slidell, maybe moving right over Hammond. I would advise not to travel east today along I-10. If you're traveling west, if you need to go, say, to Lake Charles, Texas, anywhere west of Lafayette, you should be okay. I don't see any issues with that at all. But traveling to the east, it's going to be a mess. This is very close to where Ida made landfall back in 2021, but that was a Category 4 hurricane, and it made landfall down in here, Golden Meadows, that area, then moved up. Houma got hit hard, then up toward Laplace, and this is going to move very close to the same location. So let's go back here, look at the winds one more time. There's 103. That is Terrebonne Parish, and then 66 there in St. Mary. I want to go back to the weather cam. I kind of remember where that is in the sequence. I think it's on down some. Let me go back to that. So we'll widen the view here again and show the heaviest rains. The rain's really letting up in Acadiana. The heaviest rains now should pretty much move east of us. This is it. You can see here, Sky10 weather cam. You can see there's Biloxi. Look at those white caps, or Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. And then Lake Pontchartrain, we've been watching the waves there splash up. That's going to get worse this evening. And then, of course, the Baton Rouge weather cam. We'll see that getting worse this evening as well. And then New Iberia, a little breezy there. No big issues at all at this point, but winds will be getting stronger in New Iberia here soon. You can see that Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. You can see that camera moving around. Those white caps looking pretty impressive there. Here it is, Dalford. Here's your graphic. Where's my trash can? It's a fan favorite. So yeah, this is what we think. It's going to be in the neighbor's yard. If you leave it out there empty, and the winds 40 to 50. And mostly this is going to be Iberia Parish, St. Martin. I think western parts of Acadiana, you're not going to have to deal with this. Wind gusts could be as high as 60 miles per hour. So, that's the way it's going to be, especially over the eastern parts of Acadiana. This was a request from Dalford, so I had to show it. It's a fan favorite. People like the garbage can graphic. As we look at the satellite and the radar here, it was sure looked like forming an eye. You can see right there as it made its way up just south of St. Mary and Terrebonne Parish. We're very, very fortunate that this was not in this stage down across the southern Gulf, because if that were the case, we may be looking at a Cat 4 hurricane here because conditions were very favorable across the central Gulf for development to get stronger. And that's when we saw this get stronger late yesterday afternoon and last night. It even strengthened here just before landfall. But you can see moving. I think most of Acadiana is going to be pretty good over the next, I would say, 4 or 5 hours. It will get windier at times. But the rain, I think the flash flooding threat is pretty much over for most of Acadiana as the rains will be pulling off to the east. Wind gusts 53 now in Patterson, 37 New Iberia. And you can see the winds get lighter, a big gradient from southeast back to the northwest here. And here it is, as we see 100-mile-per-hour winds, Category 2. This is only 11 miles per hour shy of a major hurricane, a Category 3 hurricane. 65-mile-per-hour winds at 1 a.m. as it crosses up. That is going to be crossing out of Mississippi or out of Louisiana into Mississippi along I-55. Looks like it's going to cross right across I-55 there near Hammond. But yes, this is going to do quite a bit of damage down there across parts of St. Mary Parish. Still have those storm surge warnings across Terrebonne and St. Mary Parish as well. All the computer models take it across that area. At this point, really no point looking at these, as we know it's pretty much going to take that track northeast eventually into the northern and eastern parts of the state and then over into southern Mississippi. Wind forecast, wind gusts, 43 out of the north in Lafayette, and the wind's going to stay out of the north. We're not going to see this switch to the south. As it moves to the northeast of us, we'll maintain that north wind. Winds will get lighter late tonight and tomorrow. 62-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible in Baton Rouge. Even 40 to 45-mile-per-hour wind gusts can blow over trees. We've seen a lot of rain over the last couple weeks, so the ground is saturated, and that can easily blow over trees, limbs down across people's yards, and hopefully this is not going to be any major damage with the wind, as it looks like most of that's going to be well to the southeast over St. Mary and Terrebonne Parish. And the tropical storm probability forecast, 100%. This does extend into eastern Lafayette Parish and then down into Iberia and St. Mary. But look at this gradient. It drops off tremendously from Lafayette all the way back to Crowley, about a 20-mile difference there. It goes from 100% chance of tropical storm force winds all the way to nothing. So that's why trying to forecast landfall is very crucial, because the wind field gradient can be huge. I mean, you can see devastating winds in one area, and then you go back to the west, 50, 60 miles, and you hardly see anything. as that's the way it works with these tropical systems. So pinpointing landfall is crucial. And 2 days ago, a lot of the models, even the National Hurricane Center, thought it would make landfall over Vermilion Parish, and that would have been really bad over the heart of Acadiana. It shifted 30, 40 miles east, which has helped a lot of areas out a lot across Acadiana. But that shift can make a huge difference with the wind. Hurricane force probability winds 100% down there where it's going to make landfall. And then as we go back to the west, really no chance west of Jeanerette of any kind of hurricane force wind. Storm surge, most of that down to the south as we see St. Mary and down into Terrebonne, Morgan City here, 6 to 8 feet, and really not an issue now with Vermilion with that north wind as the water, it looks like it's going to be pushed out instead of inland. We're not seeing a south wind with this. If it were west of us, we'd be on the bad side of it. We'd get the south wind, we'd get the tornadoes. The tornado risk is going to be well east of us, over into New Orleans and the southern Mississippi. So if you're scared of tornadoes, we're not going to see that tonight. If you're scared of flooding, if you have, PTSD from 2016, we're not going to see that with this. I know when you think of a tropical storm or a hurricane, you automatically think, oh no, it's going to flood. This is moving out quickly, and it's not going to stall out. It's going to move out pretty quickly, so we're not going to deal with that. So you can, breathe easier knowing that we're not going to see flash flooding issues with this. Pretty confident in that now across Acadiana as the heavier rains will push well east of us as we go through the overnight hours. Could see a few lingering showers tomorrow, but really don't think we see a whole lot. Rainfall totals from here on out very low. Like I said, lighter to the west as we go down over to the east. We'll see those higher amounts, but most areas of Acadiana at this point won't see no more than half an inch to an inch of rain. We've seen a few rain bands come through and some brief downpours, but nothing that's going to cause any issues out there. We had a good steady rain this morning, but it was in and out of here. It didn't last too long, at least not enough to cause issues. Look at these waves, 16 to 20 there. Near the center of Francine, 20 to 30 foot waves, that is in the center, and all that water is going to pile up across parts of St. Mary and Terrebonne Parish as it comes inland, so that's why the storm surge there could be pretty high, 6 to 8, maybe 10 feet there in parts of St. Mary Parish. And even these waves, 8 to 12 feet that go well out into the western Gulf of Mexico, all the way over to Galveston in parts of, looks like Cameron Parish. So the wind field's been pretty large with this wave-wise. Kind of interesting. So we're tracking it. You can get the latest KLFY.com. We are streaming. We have crews out all over the area, and it probably will get a little worse wind-wise over some areas of Acadiana as we go through the next couple of hours. Once it moves inland, the winds will kind of relax and spread out from the center, so we may see those gust up a little bit as we head through the next couple of hours. Kind of like with Delta, when it came inland, the winds weren't that strong. It moved a little further north, and then we got a lot of bad winds with that. And it's not going to be that bad here, but the winds will get a little stronger as we go through the evening hours. That's all I got for right now. Category 2 hurricane, that's the way it's going to be at landfall with winds, sustained winds at 100. Let's go back over to Darla Dalford.
All right. Thank you so much, Heath. You heard it here. Category 2 hurricane now. Just unbelievable how quickly that changed, arriving as a Category 1, now a Category 2. And we're really beginning to feel Francine's presence here in Acadiana.
Yeah, 100-plus mile-an-hour winds. That Category 2 storm expected to make an impact. And we want to check in with some of our state law enforcement leaders. Peggy Bork with Louisiana State Police is joining us now over the phone. Peggy, first of all, thanks for making time with us. Tell us, what does it look like on our highways around Louisiana?
Absolutely. As Hurricane Francine approaches, the time for evacuations has passed, and it's time for residents to hunker down. Please stay off the roads, avoid unnecessary travel. Resident safety is our top priority. Call 911 in emergencies, 511 for informational purposes on the road, crash and construction closures, as well as real-time traffic camera views. And store LSP or store 577 for roadside emergencies. Right now, the roads for us is not particularly busy. We have assisted with several people who are having roadside emergencies, tires blown out, things like that, disabled vehicles. Again, we are urging people just to stay home if they don't have to be out right now.
Trooper Bork, speaking of a situation like that, we know that sometimes people have situations where they get caught in storms. Usually you see this with maybe tornadoes, rarely hurricanes, but sometimes folks just have to be on the road. If they do break down and things are hazardous, what is the process or protocol with state police to try to give them aid, perhaps when it's not the most opportune time?
Right. So what we do is we will go out there to assist with emergency situations as on a case-by-case basis. If the winds are too high and it's just too dangerous for our troopers to get out there, we will have to wait until it is safe for us to get out there because we can't help people if we are in need ourselves.
Right.
However, we will get there as soon as we can to assist those in need.
One of the main reasons, I'm sure you mentioned that the time for evacuation has passed. We don't want people getting out there in this weather now. Category 2 Hurricane Francine putting themselves in harm's way, but then we also do the same with our first responders because now they got to come out and rescue you. So heed the advice, stay off the roads, hunker down, and be prepared to ride this thing out. Trooper Peggy Bork with Louisiana State Police, we thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And of course, we will be checking in with them as well. We know that these types of situations can bring road closures throughout the area, especially when we're talking about our state roads, the interstates. And we will have that information for you, State Police issuing the information as quickly as they can to media outlets. And if you have any questions about that, you just keep it right here with KLFY. We'll have that for you as it's released. And it's likely going to happen in southeastern Louisiana before anywhere else. So we want to check in with News 10's Kai Price, bringing us the latest out in Morgan City. Kai, we know you just relieved Britt LaFaso. We can see that things are intensifying where you are.
Yeah, Darlene Dalfred, as you can see, I'm soaked right now and the wind is whipping and the rain is whipping. Now, I want to step out of the way and just let you guys see, of course, what we have going on right now. Now, of course, the water is starting to rise as Francine continues to make landfall, and there is debris in the background from, of course, the wind being very strong. Now, I did get a chance to meet residents who have businesses on this road, and they tell me that this location is 20 miles from the Gulf of Mexico, and even from being 20 miles from the Gulf of Mexico, you can just see, of course, all of the rain and all of the wind that is going on. Now, of course, I want to remind all residents in St. Mary Parish that Parish President Sam Jones and the St. Mary Parish Council have issued a curfew that starts at 5 p.m. tonight and will end at 7 a.m. Thursday morning. So if you are on the roads, please make sure to, of course, find shelter and please be safe. Now, of course, I will continue to bring more updates for you guys throughout the night as it continues on. But for now, live in St. Mary Parish, Kai Price, KLFY News 10, sending it back over to you guys.
All right, thank you, Kai. Kai Price covering his first hurricane for us out there. Doing a pretty decent job.
Doing a great job, and we can see the stark difference between when Britt was there just a little bit earlier and just how quickly the conditions changed and actually deteriorated. Intensified is the word I was looking for.
Yeah, so
yes.
looking at the conditions that we're seeing out in Morgan City, we know that it might be if the same, if not even a bit worse out in Terrebonne Parish, as we know that north and eastern Iowa both are coming on shore, the coast of Louisiana. So folks out there should be bracing themselves for at least 100-mile-an-hour winds, as Hurricane Francine is now a Category 2.
Absolutely. Just looking at some of the notes I was taking as our weather team of experts give us the minute by minute and forecast for the track, and talking about the coastal parishes and that eyewall arrival and what it means for Acadiana. So you've heard them speak about the east side and the west side, and of course the southeast areas of the state obviously are going to bear the brunt of Francine, and that has been trending for quite some time as we looked at those models, and they call them spaghetti models, as we've heard. Yes, absolutely. And but that main track, the dark line, the black line, definitely showed that Acadiana would feel the impacts, and definitely the southeast Louisiana.
I think that's the important part of having those spaghetti plots, that that main black line from the National Weather Center, showing us exactly what we expected. Our team has been spot on for the past week or so, tracking this thing as it's been projected to shift further and further east, which it has, now making landfall in Louisiana.
Let's head now out to Houma. We visited Houma before. Joining us now is Karaski Melvin. And Karaski, we're seeing a different picture than what we saw, images than what we saw earlier. Looks like things are intensifying there as well.
There is a howl in the air here at Houma. We traveled about a block or two away from the municipal place where the shelter was being held. As Jasmine Dean told you earlier, they were moving people into the shelter due to the high winds. Right now, we can see it, we can hear it, we can feel it. As we're going on the streets, we can see the waves of water cascading through, going by, whipping quite quickly. We've seen stop signs and other signs being completely showing they are matchless against the wind. Right now, we're at a business here that have posted up some sandbags here, and here as well, in an attempt to defend against any flooding. Of course, as we entered into Houma, there were areas that were flooded near a school and near a residence. And of course, as everything strengthens, we can expect more rain, more wind as it continues. But for now, live here in Houma, Karaski Melvin, KLFY News 10.
Wow, what a difference 30 minutes can make as Francine made her landfall, just 30 or so minutes ago as a Category 2 storm.
Yeah, we knew it would progress and grow and strengthen over time, but to see it progress to a Category 2 this soon, not exactly expected. So it's impressive to see our team being so accurate in their reporting. What we want to do as wind speeds pick up, of course, naturally, some folks are going to lose power. For the latest on those outages throughout our area, we'll check in with News 10's Lydia Alcala.
Yes, I have some updated power outages. I did just write these down, but they are changing very quickly since the storm has just made landfall. As you guys said, those wind speeds are picking up. So right now we have in Iberville Parish, we have 1,476 at the moment. And we were seeing St. Mary Parish kind of fluctuate earlier. It still is lower right now. We have about 2,122 outages in St. Mary Parish. That number was much higher earlier, so it seems like those electrical services are out there getting the job done and getting things back up and running. That number also hasn't changed in St. Mary for a while, so about 2,100 out there. And we also have a few in Iberia Parish still. We have 1,149 out there. And then a little bit north, we did just check Iberville. Going more east, though, St. John the Baptist, they're also getting some outages, 1,100 around that number. Again, these are going to potentially continue to increase, but as I said, they have been sort of fluctuating, going up and down a little bit. But we'll keep you guys updated, have another update for you guys later on today.
All right, Lydia, thank you so much for that. I love the map that's behind her. The numbers were right there as she's speaking about them. The numbers are coming up so we can see the difference. In fact, there were power outages before any of the strong winds arrived in the area. And so, of course, we anticipate seeing even more.
Yeah, one thing about the power outage map, I'm going to give you clear, concise numbers of how many people are being tracked and how many people are out of power within that area. Also, who are their service providers, whether it be Entergy, Clico, or another that services this area.
And when you do look at that map, it's interesting to see just how many power companies are here. So we know Clico, Entergy, the larger companies, but there's quite a number of different power providers in our area.
And that's not even including the extra folks who came in to help us in this time of need, because we know we're going to need it, just like we lend our services to Mississippi, Texas, Florida, Alabama. Whoever is in need, they're doing the exact same thing.
That's right. I think right now we're going to roll back in Lafayette, right?
Back in Lafayette, going to check in with News 10's Renee Allen. She was over at the Office of Emergency Preparedness, the 911 Center in Lafayette.
Where are we right now?
You are in the Lafayette Parish Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness Emergency Operations Center. So an Emergency Operations Center is the coordination hub for all of the agencies, state, local, nonprofit, business liaisons that come together to make sure our plans are solidified for the preparation, the response, and the recovery phases of any type of an event. The hurricanes, tornadoes, severe flooding events. This is where the meat of the action is happening for your first responders before they get out on the road.
So we have all the players in here, such as?
So you have law enforcement, all of the agencies are represented, the sheriff's office, you have fire departments, the unincorporated areas are represented here, the mayors come here for their briefings, so all 6 mayors are located here. They make very critical decisions. School board is here. You have the Acadiana VOAD with their outreach of agencies, United Way, Catholic Charities, Second Harvest, 211 is all part of that. So they will either report to the EOC or we'll zoom them in. You know, as the storm impacts get a little bit more severe, they will start zooming into our calls. So that's kind of what's happening today. We're kind of hunkered down, waiting for this storm to make landfall. But what we have done is put our post-storm plans in place. So search and rescue's been solidified. Our lily pads are ready to go. First responders with food and sustenance to rescue any type of those people who may have been vulnerable and stayed in an area that was flooded. We'll go rescue those, bring them to lily pad and get them to our shelter. So a lot of that pre-planning has been going on the last couple of days. And then immediately after that, we're fixing to get on a call very shortly to start that post-storm assessment. You know, what is individual assessments have happened, what damage to homes or, you know, those types of things, what public infrastructure has been damaged. We'll start doing those public assistance type damage assessments. So those plannings, we're doing that today just to make sure they're ready to go. We know who's doing what, who's taking what area of the parish. Hopefully Lafayette's spared. We don't get a brunt of it. Maybe a few electrical outages, few flooding happens, but hopefully we're spared with this event.
All right, Christina Davies, thank you very much. I know you're getting ready to get on that call right now. You can go ahead and do that and let her take care of that. And we'll have more for you also as we try to get out in the area. Maybe we'll find some information, then we can share that with you. Renee reporting for KLFY News 10. Back to you guys in the studio.
Renee, thank you so much. I am back giving Darla Montgomery a little bit of a break back on the desk. We're going to continue to head out to our reporters throughout Acadiana. We have Lainey Miller out in Iberia Parish. I believe we're going to go to her next.
Yeah, Lainey is out in Iberia with our photographer, Sarah Culpepper, taking over. Lainey, I see you out there. Still, the work is being done, the tree removal, power restoration. Go ahead and tell us what's happening from your point of view.
Yeah, hey y'all, we're still in New Iberia on Ann Street where the tree fell on the power line. Like y'all said, you can see they're still taking the tree off. People are without power in New Iberia, and we met Mr. Pastor Charles, who lives down the road, and he's without power too. You want to tell us about when you found out there was no power, how'd that go down?
Well, you know, the power just went out. You know, we come outside and look and try to see what was going on. I was riding around in the truck, by the way, and I saw the tree laying there on the power lines. And that let me know that my wife called and said that we didn't have any power. So I'm like, wow, already? And so that I say that, look at this, that we can see that the crews are here working, doing an excellent job. I mean, Cleco and Soul power line responded so fast. We talk about in 15 minutes they was here. Wow. And so we think, you know, the community and the resources here to support what we have going on here in New Iberia.
Yeah, you said there's a quick response time. It took them about 15 minutes to get out here. When did the power go out?
Power went out, I think, about after 3 o'clock. Okay. You know, in 15 minutes, the trucks was here, rolling through, tagging the poles. I mean, you know, they on the ground, boots on the ground. And I mean, they get it. We can see, you see right now, they got the whole crew here, and they are getting the job done and getting the people back where they can get restore the lights.
Yeah. So you said you were driving around in a truck when it happened. You saw the tree fall on it?
Well, I saw the tree when I came through.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you hear of anyone say that they knew it fell?
Well, I think the guys that live right around in this community, right across the street, they saw it because they was outside, you know, looking, and so that you can see the tree laid over in the street. So they live right there, and so that the whole block is out of electricity. So that when electricity goes out, people wondering why the electricity goes out, and everybody was out in the streets.
Yeah. So whenever you were driving around New Iberia earlier, did you see anything else that we should be aware of, that we should let people know about?
No, I didn't see anything else. Everything else looked great, in the community. I think it was this was an early stage, for, and, I didn't think the wind was so high, for the tree to fall, but it just must have picked up a little bit. But right now, everything is great, and just once we get this here complete, I think that we'll be back up with electricity on tonight.
Yeah, like you said, wind picking up a little bit. We did see little branches fall off trees. Nothing too bad besides this one that we saw fall into the power line. But like we said, we're going to monitor all the power outages. We know there are thousands of people without power just in New Iberia. And from this one alone, I looked on the outage map, and it showed about 1,000 just from this outage. So we will keep you guys updated. Thank you so much, Mr. Pastor Charles.
Yes, you're welcome. So glad, and thank y'all for what y'all doing. And let's continue, to pray for these companies that's here from their states to come in and support us and help us. We want to say thank you so much.
Yeah, any other message to those, maybe your neighbors who are watching, the people on Ann Street, all your neighbors without power?
Yes, want to say, hey, kudos to them, and our neighbors here in this community, we appreciate them and appreciate y'all for coming out covering the story, and getting the message out. And this speaks a volume here that the city has resources, and they responded right then and there. And that's the key, resources. Right. I think we had the resources and the people in place at the right time.
Right. Like you said, they had a quick response time. They're getting it taken care of now. So if you see anything else, any other trees falling, any other damage, call us. Let us know. Email us. Send us pictures and videos. We'll come meet you. We'll report on it. Please let us know everything. For now, in New Iberia, Lainey Miller, KLFY News 10.
All right, thank you, Lainey. And you heard Pastor Banks give the message to some of his neighbors. Stay vigilant. Stay strong, and if you guys need updates on what's happening in each community throughout Acadiana, throughout southeastern Louisiana, best way to do that, downloading the KLFY weather app. It is free of charge. I've already gotten a series of notifications with updates on Hurricane Francine throughout the day.
Yeah, I've been holding on to this iPad and getting those notifications rolling in. So yes, we are staying on top of it, as well as it seems like those electrical companies are really staying on top of it. I mean, in about 15 minutes after that tree had caused all of those power outages, they were on it and they were fixing the situation.
It says a ton about the preparation that these different municipalities throughout Acadiana have gone through to put in place to make sure that no one's, or I should say everyone is as uncomfortable as they can for the shortest amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And now we got somebody joining us from the Acadiana Eats Kitchen to the Weather Center, the Storm Team 10 meteorologist Trevor Saunier. Trevor, you want to fill the people in on your new duties during hurricane coverage?
Well, when we're not on air, we need to eat, right? Well, we have an oven in the Acadiana Eats Kitchen, and I was in there making a pizza. And it was really good, by the way. I would recommend it. I might make another one here soon right after this cut in. So Storm Team 10 radar shows where the heaviest storm action is, but look at the dry air that has really come in across the western side of the circulation. And this is why I'm starting to doubt even parts of Vermilion see 50-plus mile-per-hour winds, because in a tropical system, to get winds that strong, you need storms, you need rain, you need convection. And notice, dry across Acadiana. Acadia, St. Landry, Evangeline, St. Martin. You may get some stronger winds later. Iberia, you may be under a threat for some stronger winds with this, and we already saw some of that across Iberia Parish, but even Vermilion, dry across most of the parish at this time. But down to the south and east, it's a totally different story. This band of storms across St. Mary and Terrebonne, moving into lower St. Martin. If we were to see 50-plus mile-per-hour winds, it would be basically this dividing line here. So maybe extreme southeastern Vermilion, but again, I'm getting skeptical about that. I think across eastern Iberia, St. Mary, lower St. Martin here, maybe clipping the extreme southeastern portion of St. Martin Parish, and then down through Terrebonne and St. Mary. Those will be the areas that see 50-plus. In terms of the hurricane force wind gusts, I think it would be mainly St. Mary, Terrebonne, and possibly lower St. Martin. I don't even believe that parts of Iberia or Vermilion will see that at this point. And the center has actually wobbled a little bit further off to the east, and Ida actually did the same thing. Right near landfall, it took a jog to the east, so maybe it's something with the friction of our coast. These storms tend to jog east right at the last minute, and this storm is doing something similar. In any further eastward, it helps our southeastern parishes. But I think most of Acadiana will escape this rather uneventfully. So let's take a look at velocities. Heath, if you want to sample some of these, we were sampling some stronger winds. The National Hurricane Center upgraded this to a Category 2, and honestly, that was a bit of a surprise for me because I've been seeing wind shear taking a bit of a toll on the system, dry air moving in, so I was for sure that it would at least remain steady state, so it was sort of surprising, but they were looking at upper level velocities, and they saw some flight level winds over 100 miles per hour, enough where even with that reduction, you still had 95 to 100 mile per hour winds. Even if it's 95, usually they round it up. So even if they thought it would be 95, they usually round it up to 100. So that's probably what happened. They probably saw enough where it changed a 5 or 7 mile per hour difference, and they just went ahead and made it a Category 2 storm. So it was rather surprising, but other than that, other than just the record books, it really won't change anything. The effects will be the same regardless. Category 1, Category 2, it's pretty much the same. We're sampling winds here. And we're not seeing a lot on velocities, 70 mile per hour velocity, but that's way up in the atmosphere. And down to the south, we're seeing a little bit more, but it's right near that range folding. So we'll have to maybe take a look at that data. But it is showing nearing 100 mile per hour winds approaching Terrebonne Parish now, just to the south of Homer. So that's probably what the National Hurricane Center was looking at. Either way, it's going to go down as a Category 2 storm. We're taking a look at conditions across all of Acadiana and southeastern Louisiana. Baton Rouge conditions will start to go downhill for them later on this evening. New Iberia, mainly just some very dark and ominous skies. Bay St. Louis, some heavy rainfall, very low visibility there. You can barely even see what's going on the water. And then Lake Pontchartrain, these waves continuing to show up here, very high waves and some strong winds. You can see the palm trees rocking and rolling. And I actually think southeastern Louisiana is going to get more from this than previously thought. We were looking at radar trends, and again, notice it was moving off to the north. Maybe it took a little bit of a jog to the north temporarily. We were a little bit worried about that, but then it went back to the northeast. And then look at the eye here. It takes a jog to the east. So now you're putting southeastern parts of the state more under the threat. Maybe even the New Orleans area, especially the western portions, you may start to get some of these stronger winds working into southeastern Louisiana. Again, this looks very much like Ida all over again. Not in terms of intensity, just in terms of the track and how it's behaving. And it's really surprising because you're seeing signs of a weakening storm. We were talking about the outflow boundaries. We're talking about how it looks sheared. Everything is saying that it should be weakening, but it's not, per the National Hurricane Center. If anything, it actually strengthens. So that's rather surprising, and it just shows the resilience of Francine here. She has been very resilient against a lot of things going against her. We're taking a look at the wind gusts now, nearing 36 in Lafayette, but just again, we don't have a lot of rainfall across the area, so it's going to be hard to get really strong winds across Lafayette and Vermilion. I think 40 to 45 maybe all these areas can muster up, but further off to the south and east, definitely we'll get some stronger winds. Notice 62 in Patterson, but even Patterson should be getting stronger winds, you would think, with a Category 2 storm. So we may have to take a look at that data. I don't know if this is maybe an older reading, but I would bet that if this is indeed a Category 2, winds are probably a lot stronger across Terrebonne and across St. Mary Parish, and we'll continue to stick with our reporters through the evening to see what conditions they're getting. But making landfall now, but again, southeastern Louisiana is going to get more out of this because dry air is really taking a toll on the western side of the system, and now more of it is across southeastern Louisiana. So New Orleans may get hurricane conditions with this after all, and then is going to move northward towards the Jackson area. Tropical models have even shifted even further off to the east now across the New Orleans area. So even within an hour or so of landfall, the easterly shifts continue. And landfall is pretty much here now. Half the eye wall has to be on land. We're pretty much approaching it. It'll probably be coming out from the National Hurricane Center pretty shortly that it has indeed made landfall. But the Euro model looks really good in terms of what I'm thinking. Anywhere from 40, maybe 50 across extreme southeastern Vermilion, but that may may be stretching it. And then Iberia on eastward, now you may be talking 50, but anything 60 or even remotely approaching hurricane force will be across St. Mary and Terrebonne and way off to the east of us. So that's certainly good news. Tropical storm force wind probabilities only clipping the eastern portions of Acadiana at this time, but these are winds north of 40 plus miles per hour. So we're already seeing that in some areas. So that's not surprising. Hurricane wind probabilities, again, it's only across St. Mary and Terrebonne. Iberia Parish is barely included in this. It's about 10% probability of that. So again, most of Acadiana is going to escape this storm with rather minor effects. Storm surge is probably becoming a little more of a problem here now that the center is very close, but that will be changing here as those winds will be changing direction through the next few hours. So future radar has the storm continuing to work off to the north and east and then quieting down quickly for tomorrow. Rainfall totals, most of Acadiana, I don't know how much we're going to get from this in terms of rain now that the dry air has really come in and put a lid on the storm development across our area. I think all of that will be much further off to the east. Even Iberia and areas that are near the eye wall, high-resolution models only showing about an inch of further rainfall across those areas. Wave heights high just offshore now. All that water's piling up across the north-central Gulf. Look at this big area of green. These are anywhere from 10 to 15-foot waves in a very large area. So I'll wrap up with this. Of course, we are online, we are on air, we are everywhere. So KLFY.com, under the weather tab, you can go to the Tracking the Tropics page if you want to look at this data yourself. It has safety tips, and of course, download that KLFY weather app so you can get any warnings sent right to your mobile device. Not just today, but any time in the future. Hurricane season is not over. Severe weather season is coming up as we head towards the holidays. So it's a very good app to have. It will alert you if you're under any type of warning. Guys, back over to you.
Trevor, thank you so much. Yeah, we are seeing things pick up a little bit, but of course that is further east. I'm keeping track of these power outages right here, and we're seeing a few more parishes pop up on the map in yellow. That still only means about 10% of the area is without power, so we're not getting into that orange or red color just yet. Hopefully we don't get there, but yeah, we are keeping track of that. But we do still have our reporters out and about in the storm letting us know what's going on in these parishes around Acadiana.
Yeah, and I know you've been keeping a very close eye on the power outages for us, and you spoke about one of those yellow areas, Terrebonne. Terrebonne now more than 4,000 customers without power, 15% of the population there. They are getting that eastern eye wall Trevor told us about just a moment ago, so we expect maybe even a few more power outages, but we do know that electric companies are in place to help restore them soon as the weather allows.
And they're definitely prepared to get out there quickly and get the work done efficiently.
And our News 10's Kai Price is on the coast of Louisiana in St. Mary Parish, Morgan City to be exact. Kai, I know things are picking up. Talk to us about what it feels like.
Yeah, Darlene Dalfred. Of course, we know now that Hurricane Francine has made landfall in St. Mary Parish, excuse me. Now, as you can see, here, you can see, the trees and just the wind, the strong wind blowing here. And you could also see the water. The water is now starting to rise as it has been raining for hours. Kelvin, if you could just point down there, you could also see just some more debris from the winds picking up here. And as Trevor said, these are these tropical storm winds and hurricane force winds that are making this debris come now. Now, I want to reiterate again that there is a curfew in St. Mary Parish. Parish President Sam Jones and the St. Mary Parish Council have made a curfew for residents to be inside by 5 p.m. and that curfew will last until 7 p.m. tonight. And of course, I'll be out here as we get more updates on the storm and as Hurricane Francine continues to make her way to Mary Parish. Those updates on the condition in the parish. But for now, live in St. Mary Parish, KLFY News 10, sending it back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Kai. He and our videographer, Kelvin Drexler. Kelvin, Stumping Grounds, St. Mary Parish. Stay safe out there, guys. Thank you for your coverage. Definitely a lot has changed since we've been watching Brit since early this morning.
Right.
Lots of wind, lots of rain at this hour.
Yeah, early this morning, like you said, it still was drizzling. I think pretty much all day it has been over in St. Mary Parish, but we weren't seeing much of anything over there when Britt was out there, even going to her several times throughout those hours. But it very quickly picked up out there.
Yeah, she got out just in time, but we know that Kai and Kelvin are going to keep us informed of what's happening out in St. Mary.
Yes, and of course, staying safe as a top priority. But we also have Karaski Melvin. He is out in Houma. We're going to toss it over to you, Karaski. What's going on over in Houma? What are we seeing at the moment?
Well, when we last left you here in Houma, the winds and rains were starting to pick up. And as we are back here in Houma, the winds and rains are even picking up stronger. And if you look over there, as much as we would love to, pardon the pun, it ain't stopping. You check out that stop sign right there. I mentioned it earlier. It has been getting pounded, absolutely pounded, as the water continues to kind of swirl and cascade quickly. A little further down the way, there is a couple of signs there that are also fighting the losing fight against this wind and against this rain, going back and forth. So far with the roads, a good thing we have noticed, there hasn't been many around here driving them. We may have saw an onlooker or two, but it's mostly been first responders coming up and down the roads with their lights. Again, as the rain continues to pelt this area in Houma. Live here in Houma, Karaski Melvin, KLFY News 10.
All right, we knew it was coming, and now we get our first look at some of the stronger wind gusts that our chief meteorologist, our weather team, were telling us that was coming. That's the outer bands that are now coming in. We're really feeling Francine's arrival.
Yeah, good to know Ski is one of our stockier gentlemen in the building, because when he came live, we saw that those winds really picking up speed down there on the southern coast of Louisiana. Those rain bands whipping behind him. You can see that rain sweeping across the road. So things are definitely intensifying.
And you can really appreciate that and understand it when you, like you said, when you see the rain going sideways, you know that those are the strong wind gusts. Those are the sustained winds that we all know all too familiar in what hurricanes can bring, and why at this point we will begin to see things toppling like the trees and power lines, unfortunately.
All right, so stay weather aware, folks. Stay indoors, because that rain, it stings too.
It does. Yeah. It does. We've both been out there. We both know what that feels like. But again, most importantly, so far, no reports of any major or serious damage or anything. So communities are really listening to our officials and the information that we are passing along to you, just to keep your family, your property, life and limb safe.
All right. And News 10's Gerald Grunig was in Delcombe earlier today and spoke with the mayor, Pam Blakely.
Gerald Grunig covering Hurricane Francine from Iberia and Vermilion parishes in the city of Delcombe, joined now by the mayor of Delcombe, Mayor Pam Blakely. Pam, the forecast comes rolling through the week. I know earlier on, definitely nervous. Now feeling a bit better. Obviously, as these conditions do start to pick up throughout the course of the evening, still feeling pretty good about the city and the spot y'all are in.
Yes, we are. We are very thankful to the good Lord that everything, I think we're going to all be fine here. Just follow the rules, stay home, buckle up, keep saying our prayers, and pray for the others.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You know, we all have friends that live along our coast, right? Whether it's in Houma, New Orleans, St. Mary Parish, Morgan City. It's a tough spot to be in at times, right? Because you just don't want to deal with a hurricane at all, much less personally or send one to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? For you at the city of Delcombe, the concerns though, right? The canal coming up, what are some of those big concerns that y'all always have to be ready for as storms do get ready to head this way?
Well, growing up, we always was told that we have to be on the correct side of the storm. And this time we're going to be on the good side. There's a good side and there's a bad side, and we're on the good side, so we happy.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so your plans for the evening, I know obviously you're wanting everybody to stay at home. You were mentioning you got a little barbecue at the house, is that right?
That's my husband's barbecuing.
All right, so we got the barbecue at the house, plenty of gumbo soup parties, all kinds of stuff happening. Any last words of encouragement to Delcombe residents if they do find themselves in a bind? Who can they reach out to? Also, just wanting everybody to stay put.
Well, if anybody's in a bind and needs anything, they can call me at 337-380-7587. That's my personal cell number. Or you can reach out to call the police station at 685-4404.
All right, Pam, thank you so much. Good luck this evening. Enjoy that barbecue. She also has a birthday taking place tomorrow. Happy birthday, my friend. I'm Gerald Grunig. We'll have much more coming up from Iberia and Vermilion Parish in the town of Delco.
Gerald, thank you so much. Yes, happy birthday to her. And only in Louisiana during a hurricane will you find some good barbecue somewhere for sure.
And a city official giving out her personal cell phone to help out anyone in need, right? How about that?
That's what we do here in Louisiana.
And if you're looking at your screen, you're now taking a look at Grand Isle, one of the most southernmost land masses in all of Louisiana. You can see some of the waves, those white caps out very close to the shore. We know that Grand Isle often gets the brunt of the storms that head our way from the up the Gulf of Mexico.
Absolutely, and those white caps you're talking about, Dalford, they are very powerful because we're looking at this not only through a screen but from a distance, and you can clearly see how the big waves are coming in and the force of Francine and her strength. So really showing us what she's packing just arriving on land just an hour and a half ago.
Yeah, a Category 2 hurricane now making its way up the coast of Louisiana. Everyone stay safe. For our viewers in the southeast portion of Louisiana, make sure that you keep us informed, keep us updated of what's going on. We'll be able to keep you updated through our app. So if you haven't already, download the KLFY weather app. Keep you up to date on any new developments involving Hurricane Francine.
And one of those areas Dalford's talking about that usually gets the brunt of storms, it's also Morgan City. News 10's Kai Price is in Morgan City to give us a look at how things are there. Kai.
Hey guys, I'm back here in St. Mary Parish in Morgan City. Now, as you can see, I'm here in St. Mary Parish where Hurricane Francine has just made landfall. If you could just look at the trees and of course the water as well. The water is starting to rise as more rain is starting.
Okay, you saw some of that shaky video, and that is because we know now that the winds are really picking up in all the areas, and not in the too distant future. We probably will not be able to bring you those images because now we are really beginning to feel the force and the brunt of Francine.
Yeah, now a Category 2 hurricane, and Kai and Kelvin are right in the right on the edge of that eye wall. We know that the northern eye wall is coming through St. Mary Parish, so wind speeds picking up 100+ miles an hour, so we can expect some of the communications to be a little faulty, not only for us, but for everyone on that area.
Absolutely, not to mention that crews that have been working anything, including our news crews that are out there, will have to hunker down until that threat passes, and of course we will be able to bring you all of the images after the storm.
As we cover all of Louisiana, we want to check in with News 10's Shannon Hecht out in Assumption Parish, showing us the conditions as a result of Francine.
Yeah, guys, we can feel a strong band of wind right now and some rain that's really been kicking up over the last several minutes. This rain, you can almost see the bands in the sky. There'll be moments where it almost feels like a lull, but now moments like this, it's really just pounding into you with the wind. We can start to see across Bayou Lafourche here, roofs like this one over here that has a slate of metal that's starting to blow up. So I wouldn't be surprised by the end of this storm if some of that blows up. So I'm starting to see some smaller debris from trees and branches falling into the bayou here. That roof's panel is really blowing over here. Now, if anyone in Assumption Parish needs a safe place to stay, they can go to the community center here in Napoleonville. They will be open for the duration of the storm. So even though we're asking people to not get on the roads right now, if their house is not safe, they can come here and they can have a safe cot and a fortified building to stay in for the storm. Now, the director of OSEP for Assumption told me that as soon as this storm passes, they're going to get out on Highway 1 and 308 to make sure there's no debris so it is clear for the hospitals and for emergency services. So we're going to keep you updated on how this progresses here. But as you can see, it's really starting to come down and really get windy out here in Napoleonville.
Reporting for us. Shannon, thank you so much. Of course, we knew earlier on this afternoon that Francine was making an easterly turn, and that it was, I remember our weather team stressing how Baton Rouge and the New Orleans area, that Assumption Parish area, were going to receive some of the stronger winds. And as they forecasted it and watched the progress of the storm, that came to light.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look at the map here, and we can see a lot of the conditions almost identical from St. Mary all the way to Assumption Parish, Terrebonne included, where they're starting to see those whipping rain bands whip through, and a little more rain, more wind gusts coming more consistently. So that's something that we're going to be keeping an eye on throughout the evening as Hurricane Francine makes its way further inland.
But right now, we're going to head to Houma. News 10's Jasmine Dean is there to show us the conditions there now. Jasmine.
Hey guys, I mean, as you can see, the rain is still coming down. The wind is still blowing. We've been hearing a lot of whistling. The wind has just been whipping. And of course, in addition to the rain, we're starting to see some flooding along this street. I know earlier we were near the shelter on Verrett Street, and we came, like Ski said, a block down. And in just that short amount of time, you can see where the road is starting to flood. I know the wind has been blowing really hard to the point where we've been getting beat in the face with water, with wind. I mean, you can see right now just the ripples of rain coming from the roof. I know on this side of me there was a fence that was blowing in, and of course we see a little bit of debris in the street as well because the wind is so strong. It's been knocking some branches down. We'll have to get some of that footage for you guys because, as we all know, Hurricane Francine has been upgraded to a Category 2. We are here in Houma, one of the areas that's being hit the hardest out of all the parishes in the state, as we are still under state of emergency. And of course, people are advised to stay inside because this wind is strong. Oh, the wind is strong. It is whipping. As you can see, we just experienced a huge gust. One of our equipments just knocked over there because the wind is so strong. So we just want you guys to be aware of the severity of this storm and how safe you need to be. Of course, people are advised to stay off of the roadways because it is not safe. We're asking everyone to stay inside, hunker down, and if you can, make sure you check on your family members as well. Reporting in Houma, I'm Jasmine Dean.
All right, thank you, Jasmine. Winds really picking up out there in Houma, and she's even given us some updates, signs of property damage. She said the fence blown over and obviously some localized flooding.
Absolutely, and that's why I said just a few moments ago, it won't be too much longer where our crews will have to hunker down until the threat passes. Just speaking with even Rodrika just now, texted me, she's saying the winds in that area, the authorities are saying, is up to 70 miles per hour. Yeah. So we're talking about the winds that can cause damage now.
Yeah, point being, this is exactly why our officials said to get all of your preparations done yesterday so you can be in a safe place. Hopefully everyone's able to be at home. If you're in those low-lying areas, we know that those folks have relocated prayerfully, but we know that those wind gusts 70 miles an hour where Rodrika is now, nothing to play with.
No, and I didn't mention, she is in St. Martin Parish, Franklin.
Okay.
Is where Rodrika is, and we hope to get some more information from her. But right now, it sounds like things have really intensified in that area. There's some other areas we need to check on, but right now I think we're heading to find out more about Francine.
Yeah, more about Francine in St. Mary Parish. News 10's Kai Price, along with videographer Kelvin Drexler, giving us the latest out in Morgan City.
Hey Darla, hey Dalfred. Of course, we're here in Morgan City in St. Mary Parish, which is one of the parishes that did have the landfall from Hurricane Francine. Now, of course, I want to take it here. Me see in Kelvin, we are here, soaked. And also the water is also starting to rise here in St. Mary. And Kelvin, if you could also, turn this way as well, you can see just the winds and just the branches from the trees and also just, falling on the ground. Now, of course, for anybody that is driving in St. Mary Parish, we do advise you to, find shelter and to remain in your homes and to not get out. And with that, with the water rising, also, it's not safe to drive on the roads as well. So as I said before, please find, shelter until this storm passes through. Now, of course, I'm going to be here throughout the day giving you guys updates on what you can expect here with the conditions from Hurricane Francine, but I'm going to send it back over to you guys in St. Mary Parish. Kai Price, KLFY, News 10.
Thank you so much, Kai. And we did see the debris that you're talking about. We're seeing those smaller branches and foliage that the wind, because of the wind speeds picking up, that we're seeing now. And just a quick correction, we talked about Franklin, which is where Rodrika is, News 10's Rodrika Taylor. Of course, Franklin is in St. Mary Parish. At this point, everything is blurring together because we know that all of those areas are the areas that always take, nearly always take the brunt of these storms.
Yeah, that Highway 90 corridor, we've been covering them since 4 a.m. or even over the past several days. Right. They're all seeing almost identical conditions from St. Mary Parish, Iberia Parish, all the way to Terrebonne and Assumption. But for the latest, as we continue to track Hurricane Francine, now a Category 2 storm, we want to check in with the Chief Meteorologist, Heath Morton.
Yeah, Darlene Dalford, that northern eyewall now coming into Morgan City. If you were looking at Kai's live shot there, you could see the wind really strong. And it's a very heavy rain as that northern rain band comes in from the northern part of that eye wall. And we're starting to see that Homa, too. Jasmine and Karaski down there. You can see the wind, the heavy rain. So they're going to be in the eye in this very soon. So the winds may actually get calm there soon. We can pretty much say that this is about made landfall across mostly Terrebonne Parish as we see the western eye wall, which is going to extend into, it looks like, a St. Mary Parish. Flash flood warnings there as well. You can see the water really coming up across some areas. Here are some of the winds as we zoom in a little bit closer. 105 there. This is going to be the eastern part of that eye wall across Terrebonne Parish. And then as we can see, 67 Morgan City. Now, keep in mind the radar beam's going up. This is about 10,000 feet up in the sky. So you subtract 10 miles per hour from that, and then we're looking at maybe 90 to 95 here. Made landfall with winds at 100, so this is probably pretty close. A Category 2 hurricane. I think the worst of it here is going to be over eastern or most of Terrebonne Parish up into Homa, and then the western eye wall crossing over Morgan City, and then moving off to the north. It does look like it's going to be pretty bad for Baton Rouge and over into New Orleans. New Orleans may catch the eastern part of Francine as it moves up later this evening. Here's what it looks like. Skyton WeatherCam. There's a look at Lake Pontchartrain down there in the right corner, lower right corner. You can see the waves with the white caps, the water coming up over there. You can see it splashing up. And then Bay St. Louis in Mississippi, pretty stormy there. And then Baton Rouge, looks like the wind's starting to gust up. So I think these areas, especially Lake Pontchartrain, Baton Rouge, is going to get pretty nasty out there. Like I said earlier, winds here could be 60, 70, maybe 80 miles per hour. But it looks like the western is going to pass just to the east of Baton Rouge. But like I said, that eastern eye wall is going to come very close to New Orleans. So I think winds there could be pretty high this evening. It's not going to be as bad as Ida 3 years ago, back in 2021. Of course, that was a Cat 4 hurricane when it made landfall, high in Cat 4. But this track's going to take it very close to where Ida went back in 2021. So here's what it looks like. Tried to form an eye late this afternoon, and it looks like we're starting to see that track inland in New Orleans here, Baton Rouge. Like I said, it's going to take it very, very close to New Orleans. If you have to travel east along I-10 tonight, I would definitely advise not to do that. If you need to travel west, I think you're okay. And if you're watching us, if you did evacuate in Houston, back into Texas, and you're watching us online or on Facebook, it's probably safe that you can come back now if you live points from Lafayette, especially points west. By the time you get here, the worst of it's going to be over. So I think it's okay to come back. I've had questions about that this afternoon. You know, it's like we evacuated to Houston. Is it okay to come back this evening? I think it's okay as long as you don't go over into the Baton Rouge and New Orleans area. It should be okay. Wind gust 62 Patterson, 45 there in New Iberia, 38 in looks like Lafayette, 23 Opelousas. You can see this really coming down as we head back off to the north. There it is, Category 2 hurricane, winds at 100. This made landfall exactly as strong as Delta did back in 2020, October 9th, I think, of 2020. Made landfall there near Grand Chenier. Of course, it was bad here. We had pretty extensive damage across parts of Acadiana, a lot of roof damage, a lot of trees blown down, but we were on the east side of that one. This one, we're on the west side. We're on the better side. And it's a little farther east. It's a little farther away from us than where Delta was. But the models earlier in the week had it coming right through Vermilion Parish, right across Lafayette, up into St. Landry Parish. If that would have been the case, it could have been like Delta or worse, or maybe like Lily back in 2002, but that track takes it right over Jackson, Mississippi. It should be 1 a.m. It should be exiting the state and moving into Mississippi. It's going to move right along I-55 up to Jackson. It's going to move up to Memphis, and then it's going to kind of stall out. But I really don't think we're going to see it do any major damage up that way, as it's really going to fall apart once it gets up there. So the computer models pretty much take it along that path up to 55 through Mississippi. Wind gust forecast, I think the worst of it definitely east of us. Still 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts this evening across Acadiana, 54 Franklin, 62 in Baton Rouge. And it looks like as we go to the west, the wind gusts much, much lighter over the western parts of the state. And then tomorrow we're looking at those north winds that will continue at about 10 to 15. Tropical storm force wind probability, still a chance of that this evening across the eastern parts of Acadiana, 40 to 50 mile per hour winds. So once we see that landfall and it get farther inland, well, we've seen the landfall, but once it gets farther inland and starts weakening, those winds start to expand inside of the storm. They'll spread out, and some of that could move back into Acadiana, and the winds could get a little stronger. But I don't think we're going to see anything too extensive across most areas of Acadiana. All of that's going to be confined here to the southeastern parts of the area. Hurricane wind probability near 100% there where it's making landfall. It's Morgan City over into Terrebonne Parish. Storm surge forecast. This has really come down. Really no chance, or really low chances of anything across Vermilion, but we see it mostly there over, it looks like, Terrebonne, eastern parts of, it's even come down over northern parts of St. Mary Parish. Most of that confined here with those strong south winds coming into Terrebonne Parish. And a lot of folks are wondering about flash flooding. You know, you're nervous about that this thing's going to slow down. We're going to see a lot of rain. That's not going to be the case. Most of the rain is over for Acadiana. That's going to kick east. So we're not going to see much more rain at all. I think it's pretty much moving out of here. Could see a few wraparound showers tomorrow, but rain chances pretty low. And as we look here, future track, rain totals still going with 1/4 to 1/2 inch, but overall I think most of us are done with the rain tonight. Just a few showers possible as we see most of that kick across the eastern parts of the state. So landfall, if it hasn't made landfall, it's going to be very, very soon, but I would say it probably has as a Category 2 with winds at 100. And that track takes it up toward Baton Rouge and New Orleans. You're probably going to see a lot of damage once this thing really gets into more populated areas of New Orleans Metro, up into the Baton Rouge area. You're going to see a lot more damage reports coming out because the winds could easily be 65, 70 all the way up through those areas. And I think the eastern eye wall is going to pass near New Orleans, and that's going to be the case with the tornado threat as well. I don't see a tornado threat over Acadiana for the rest of the evening, as that's going to be well east of us over the eastern parts of the state. We'll have more coming up a little bit later in the weather department. Back over to you guys.
Heath, you are right. Francine making landfall 3 minutes ago. It came through as you were telling it to us as a Category 2 hurricane.
And some areas reporting that it came across in Terrebonne Parish. We had just seen some images from that area just a little earlier.
It's an impressive storm already, Category 2. You could hear Heath talking about how it's going to make its way all the way up to Memphis. It's roughly 400 miles from the coast of Louisiana, so be mindful if you do plan on evacuating. Even after the storm, there could be some debris, some down lines and trees along that I-55 corridor.
Absolutely. Right now, we are going to head back south again. This time, we're checking in with News 10's Jasmine Dean. She has been reporting from the Houma area for us. Jasmine.
Hey guys, I mean, in just that short amount of time, the water has really climbed up. As you can see, it is past my ankles right now. We are still in the same spot, just a block from the shelter, and it looks like in less than 20 minutes, the water has truly gotten higher. I know the wind is still strong, the rain is still beating down. I've still been getting pushed around, as you saw earlier. It's just not pretty out here right about now. And of course, like I said, we do see some debris in the street. It's not too much right about now. Hopefully it doesn't get worse, but in the off chance that it does, people are advised to stay inside. This is not something that you want to be in. I mean, the street behind me is flooded, and it did not take a long time for it to get like that. Again, as soon as we're done, we're going to head to another location, hopefully a safer location where we don't have to worry about flooding as much. But here in Houma, it is an area that is going to get, some of the harder hit areas out of the other parishes, because Hurricane Francine is a Category 2, and it's something that we're still on the lookout for. I mean, we're just getting soaked. We've been hearing the wind whistle. We've been hearing it whipping. We've really been feeling it. So this is something you definitely don't want to experience. Please stay inside if you can. As you can see, the winds are getting stronger. It's getting heavier, and we just want to make sure everyone is safe. That's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to stay safe out here while we continue to bring you guys updates and reports. So we'll see you in just a little bit to give you an update. Reporting in Houma, I'm Jasmine Dean.
All right, Jasmine Dean, and we saw folks kind of, you mentioned, Alfred, you saw scurrying right behind her, just trying to make sure that all of their belongings and things were in place and taken care of.
And hearing Jasmine talk about how the water's rising so quickly, I was just asking Heath, because they mentioned that storm surge in that area is going to be somewhere between 6 to 8 feet, so it's definitely recommended that folks in those low-lying areas get to higher ground.
Absolutely. When the storm surge is as high as you're mentioning, that is when you start seeing that it's encroaching upon property, buildings, homes that are in the area. And so, Jasmine, I mean, just a matter of minutes, the water went from low to high.
And from Jasmine, we're going to head over now to St. Mary Parish and check in with News 10's Kai Price. He and videographer Kelvin Drexler giving us the latest on conditions in Morgan City.
Yes, we're here in Morgan City in St. Mary Parish, and just from you looking at my outfit, you can see that I am completely drenched from all of the water that is coming here. And I just want to show you guys, of course, a look at what we're seeing right now. Now, as you know, this was a Category 2 landfall from Hurricane Francine, and you could just see those winds just constantly whipping and just blowing all of this debris here on the road. Now, I did speak to a few residents that have businesses here on this road, and they tell me that they have been through hurricanes before, but it hasn't been anything, of course, that has had a lot of water like this. And as you can see, just pointing over there, you can continue to see the water that is continuing to rise from Hurricane Francine. Now, for anybody that is out here on the roads, you are advised by, of course, law enforcement to find shelter and to find high ground as the water is starting to continue to rise. Now, of course, throughout the day, I will continue to give you guys updates on the conditions in St. Mary Parish as Hurricane Francine continues to pass through this Category 2 hurricane. But of course, I will continue to bring those updates to you guys. Live in St. Mary Parish, Kai Price, KLFY News 10, sending it back to y'all.
Kai, thank you so much. Of course, we are seeing that particular area where Kai is, but I understand that we're going to take a look and maybe get another perspective, another view.
Yeah, staying in the Morgan City area, Nancy Liu is there to give us conditions from the other side of town.
Winds are definitely picking up here in Morgan City, Louisiana. As you know, right along the Gulf Coast. Out there, you can see the Atchafalaya River. It is swollen and the winds are really whipping up some waves, but the worst of Hurricane Francine
not expected for a couple more hours, and these winds could pick up significantly. They could top perhaps 80 miles an hour, up to 90 miles an hour. But you can see a curfew is in effect here in Morgan City. But you can see the winds are starting to pick up. The mandatory evacuations are in place in some parts along the Gulf Coast. But here in Morgan City, we ran into a number of people stocking up at the grocery store this morning. A lot of people were just planning to hunker down, noting that, hey, it's only a Cat 1 or a Cat 2 when it hits landfall. But the sheriff was telling us, the local sheriff here in St. Mary Parish, he was a bit concerned about that attitude since, you know, this storm can still pick up a lot of speed and strength in the Gulf. So it could change quickly. But we are on the flood wall here in Morgan City. Residents here have a lot of faith in this wall and that it will protect the town from flooding. But the worst still yet to come, but very much the winds, the rain, they are picking up here in Morgan City.
Nancy Liu reporting, and of course her backdrop, one that many of us, if you live in South Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, very familiar with exactly where she is, giving us a look at the water that always poses as a threat when we have an event of this size.
Yeah, right on top of that levee in Morgan City gives you a great vantage point of the Mississippi, or excuse me, the Atchafalaya River, swollen, as she mentioned. One of the things, those river levels, something officials in that area are going to be watching closely as Hurricane Francine continues to make its way through the southern coast of Louisiana. And for the latest, we want to check in with Heath Morton, our chief meteorologist, in the studio. Heath, I know you guys have been keeping a close eye on things. What's the latest?
Yeah, right now it looks like the landfall was about 15 or 20 minutes ago. It was a Cat 2, winds at 100, and we see down there, and it looks like this is a Terrebonne Parish. This is St. Mary, mostly over Terrebonne, but the eye is pretty wide. Usually with a stronger hurricane, you see a very small, compact eye. Not seeing that, so the eye extends from pretty much Morgan City all the way across most of Terrebonne Parish, and the western eye wall is coming into Morgan City now, and you see Homa's on the northern end of that eye wall. We had that report there from Jasmine. You can see that strong wind, getting those waves of wind coming in, 80, 90 miles per hour, flash flood warnings there. It's about to get calm there inside the eye, so it should be pretty nice here soon. And then the other side of the eye will come across, and looking at strong winds once again once that happens. But they may be in the eye for a while, as big as this thing is. But like I said, winds at 110 at landfall. Here's the latest as we look at the winds down there. 70 here, 83 southwest of Morgan City. We had a one pixel that was showing over 100 mile per hour winds down across Terrebonne Parish earlier. Now, like I said, the radar beam is going up, so this is higher up in the sky. So the winds may be a little lighter than this, but still, I would say 80 to 90, 100 mile per hour wind gusts definitely possible in that area. Here's what it looks like, Skyton weather cam. We're looking at several areas here. You can see the Cameron, Baton Rouge starting to bounce around quite a bit now. Now, I think they're going to see some pretty strong winds there as we go through the evening. And then Lake Pontchartrain, I think the eastern eye wall could pass up into Lake Pontchartrain. You can see the water coming up over that sidewalk there with those big waves. And that's going to get worse as we go through the evening as those stronger winds approach. Looking better in the Bay of St. Louis and Mississippi. It was looking worse there earlier, but the winds are still picking up. And then down in New Iberia, not too bad watching that area, but I don't see any real strong winds there at this time. But as what's going to happen, once we see Ida start weakening after it moves inland, we're going to see those winds spread out. So we could see some stronger wind spread into Acadiana. It's breezy out there now. The winds are pretty strong, especially over the eastern parishes, and it could get a little stronger. Things should start improving as we get through later tonight. Ida, or I should say Francine, tried to form an eye there this afternoon as it made its way off to the east. It's going to take a path very close to where Ida did back in 2021 as it came across Golden Meadows and up toward Laplace. This is going to cross that path. Like I said, I think that eastern eye wall may come up right to the looks like to the west of Lake Pontchartrain, clipping New Orleans, going up toward Baton Rouge. So not a good idea to be traveling east across the Chaffalay River Basin over into the eastern parts of the state tonight. But if you're traveling west, it's good. If you're watching us online, Houston, if you're in Houston, you evacuated, or even the northern parts of the state, probably okay to come back now into Lafayette and most of Acadiana. By the time you get here, the worst of it should be over. 45-mile-per-hour wind gusts in New Iberia, 62 in Patterson, and now we're starting to see those wind gusts really extend over into the New Orleans area with that purple area, and we see it looks like 23 Alplices as we see this really go down as we head off to the north. Category 2 hurricane, that's what it was at landfall with winds at 100. And like I said, the eye wall is going to be very close here. It's actually kind of moving, seems like more to the northeast, so I think it could clip there western parts of New Orleans, Lake Pontchartrain, and it's really going to travel right up I-55 here up toward Jackson. Tropical storm still with winds at 65 at 1 a.m. So still, like I said, eastern parishes could see some stronger winds this evening as it makes this track here, but we're on the good side of it. The north wind, we don't see the tornado threat, and most of the heavier rains are gone now. I think the flash flooding threat's pretty much over for just about all of Acadiana. Tropical models, as we can see, the eastern parts of the state, most of it traveling right up I-55 there like we were looking at earlier. European model wind gusts, higher wind gusts, definitely east. Baton Rouge down to Franklin, 50, 60, maybe 70 miles per hour. And as we go back to the west, lighter wind gust, as you can see, at 37, 43, 39. It still can blow power lines, or I should say limbs down, even some trees, especially as saturated it has been, the ground, we can see some trees blown over. Chances of that pretty slim unless you get a pretty good strong wind gust. But as you go west, the winds will definitely be much lighter as we go across the western parts of the state. Tropical storm force winds, still a possibility across Lafayette, eastern Lafayette, and all across the eastern parts of the state. That's why I said if you need to travel west, you're good. If you need to travel east, definitely not a good idea. And you can see how much of a gradient this is from pretty much Lafayette all the way back to Crowley. That's about 20 miles, and it goes from a 100% chance of tropical storm force winds down to practically nothing once you get over into Acadia Parish. Hurricane force probability, pretty much about all of Acadiana out of the hurricane force winds, except for way down there in southeastern parts of St. Mary Parish, which that's what they are seeing right now. Storm surge, most of the area in the clear from the bad storm surge, all of that's down into Terrebonne Parish in southeastern parts there of St. Mary. So like I said, the flash flooding threat, I think it's over for Acadiana. Most areas picking up 1 to 2 inches of rain. Luckily, this was not a big rain-producing system. It's not going to slow down. It's not going to stall out, so we're not going to see something like Harvey or even Allison that's going to slow down and stall and cause a ton of rain. This one's moving pretty quickly off to the north at about 10 to 15. You can see those heavier rains moving into the eastern parts of the state as we go through tonight and pushing up into Mississippi overnight tonight. Future track rainfall totals, these keep coming down, and we don't expect much more rain as we go through the overnight hours. Like I said, that flash flooding threat, I think it's pretty much over for Acadiana as all the rain shifts off to the east. Even the sun's starting to